friends, welcome to the second episode of Kindle Soundcheck, where we at Kindle present to you our latest cover. Now today, before we talk about our current cover, the November cover, for those of you who have seen our first episode will know that there is a change in our setting. We are sitting at the Kindle conference room where we ideate our stories, and not just that, we scribble on the wall, and if we are angry with the editor, we just vent it out here. So this wall tells a million stories basically. Now coming to this month's cover, after last month's hard-hitting issue, this month we decided to take the weather into account. I'm sure you've noticed that there is a slight nip in the air, and as the days are growing shorter, the country is gearing up for many a literary festival. As we talk, already some literary festivals have started taking place. Now, this month's cover, the November cover, doesn't really talk about books, but we are celebrating book spaces. 6 writers talking about their favorite book spaces. Book spaces that have been long dead, some which are surviving, and some which are struggling to survive. So stories of melancholy, old world charm, romance, anger, even some pragmatism, isn't it, Prita?
That's true, Shan, and as the title of the cover, it is called Bookstores in the Ocean. So it seems to be like an issue which is dripping with the idea of nostalgia, which seems to have a sort of a rhetorical tone, the old grandfather's tone of a certain rant. But then I must say it is all of that and then much more as well. Because it's true that there is immense value in nostalgia, and it is also true that there is immense wisdom in what old grandfathers say, and they are also the bedrock of new ideas. They are also the soil from which new seeds sprout. So this issue is not just about these 6 authors and poets paying tribute to their favorite book spaces. These are also a bunch of stories which very critically analyze the idea of progress in very political and personal dimensions. So things are being replaced, the old by the new. Old bookstores are being replaced by some things, old books are being replaced by something. And what are these new things? In which direction are we moving? So that's the direction which we would be exploring in this cover, and some of the questions which we will be pondering over. So, as Kiran Nagarkar in his essay, he ends his essay by a quote by Keynes where he says, in the long run we are all dead. And Sharanya, in her essay, she concludes and she says that, bookstores soothe me because they carry tangibly the memory of trees. To step into a bookstore is to step into a forest of stories. We lose our forests to far worse things than literature. So, so this space between life and death, the space between memory and loss, is something which all of us need to constantly explore, reanalyze, redefine, and sometimes through vanishing bookstores. So this is what the cover is doing this month.
And just to continue a bit more, just in case you're thinking that it's only about old world charm, it's not that. We have an interesting mix of essays. Like for instance, Jay Arjun Singh writes in his piece that we are not fetishizing, let's not fetishize bookstores, because we do buy books from Flipkart, we do buy books from Home Shop 18, but yes, there are memories. He talks about memories of the bicycle wala who brought his favorite comics, Tinkle and Amar Chitra Katha. And there are very interesting stories, like for instance Natasha Kaul. I just read a small excerpt from her piece. Natasha Kaul writes, this is about the this is about the border bookstore in Bristol. She writes, the newly unsalaried me bought books when I could. At other times I would sit, scribbling or reading on one of the sofas in the Starbucks that marked a chocolate-colored section on the top floor. With a spark of creative ingenuity necessitated by my constraints, I realized that if I ordered a double tall dry cappuccino, I could buy hours of time on the cafe sofa. The drink was reasonably strong, relatively inexpensive, and 3/4 foam. The foam stayed in the mug long after the liquid was gone. Hence, whenever anyone came to clear the table, my cup would always appear full. And this is where she discovered Sartre's nausea. Now, for example, if you could just talk a bit about the cover.
Yeah, the cover has a very interesting image on it. And Shan, while I was surfing the net, I just came across this website by an artist called Mike Stilke. He is a Los Angeles based artist, and he has this very extremely interesting and very vague, melancholic looking cast of, absurd cast of characters who he paints on very, very ambiguous spaces. So I came across this image where this very melancholic looking man has been painted upon a stack of books. So, immediately, very instinctively, I, just zeroed in on that image as the cover image for the bookstore. So yeah, so that's the cover image, but let's move on to some of the other stories. And one of the stories which I wanted to talk about was Amit Sengupta's piece, and where he talks about the Arvind Kejriwal phenomena. Shan, the other day I was watching News Laundry, and where a bunch of editors were discussing this recent expose by Kejriwal on Khurshid and Vadra. And very interestingly and unfortunately, one of the editors who I really, really admire and appreciate, he's Ravish, who does some excellent stories. He just summed up the entire discussion after a lot of debating, etc. This is one of the most romantic and revolutionary phases of our time. This Arvind Kejriwal phase, so as to call it. And it should continue and go on, and there was a lot of optimism about it, and I was really, really aghast, because here we are living in a country with the harshest living conditions, where millions and millions of people are starving, where even to transport a pot of water from one place to another takes untold sacrifice, where to nurture a plant, to rear a bird, a pig, a dog takes immense amount of hardship. And to really, really represent those people, their titanic land, their isolation is so difficult. And these people, these journalists who are supposed to have an ear to the ground are summing, this Kejriwal primetime circus as some sort of the great Indian revolution is something really laughable.
Absolutely.
So that's so interesting, and very aptly Amit Sengupta calls them a nation of primetime morons, and I think they really deserve that title. So yeah, that's one article which all of you must read, and if you would like to talk about something else.
And Ashtadhyay's interview with Seema Azad. Now Seema Azad is the publisher of this wonderful journal called Dastak, and she was incarcerated some time back, predictably on sedition charges because she had exposed illegal mining. Now Ashtadhyayi in this interview with Seema Azad explores her days in jail. She talks about gender discrimination in jail, corruption, and some startling facts emerge, so do read that. And also there is Orko Dotto's photo essay on 1 year of Occupy Wall Street. Those photos speak a lot. You would want to talk about
yes, another piece is also very crucial read, which is Shashwat's piece on the European Union winning the Nobel Peace Prize. And it's we have this entire myth and this halo around the Nobel Prize, and it claims to be this high moral authority for our civilization. But if we do analyze its legacy very, very carefully, we would see that it's a merely Eurocentric, militarist,
Absolutely.
capitalist legacy. So yeah, so those things are to be seen and dissected very carefully, and that is a very, very interesting article to be read. And Shan, talk about the article by Priya Krishnamurthy.
Yeah, we've already talked about quite a few hard-hitting pieces, so now a slightly light note. Priya Krishnamurthy is our new contributor this month, and she visited Iran some time back, and this is her account of her experiences in Iran. Now this piece is full of anecdotes, but I would definitely like to share one anecdote with you, which she talks about in this piece. Now she was walking through certain bazaars, and there she visited a number of stores where all these rugs with photos of Divya Bharati were actually regarded as rugs with photos of Sri Devi. People called out Sri Devi, Sri Devi, Sri Devi. So now Sri Devi was mistaken as an actress long dead, that is Divya Bharati. So that is one piece, and of course there is Ayushmann Khurrana's interview full of one-liners. Then there is another piece, a very interesting sports piece where our sports writer Shubham Nag is imagining new cricket commentary cliches. So these are some of the pieces that you can really look forward to in this month's cover.
Absolutely, it's a very interesting package. You all must grab your copies as soon as it's out on the stands. And do send us some of your own stories, your own experiences of going to interesting and unique bookstores, and we'll be happy to publish them.
Absolutely. Feedback. Feedback is very important. Thanks so much.